and welcome to Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. My name is Jadel Cabrera. Excited that you're here for a political conversation, a day in which politics was hitting up every single minute in this country. I'm here with Herman Manyora, political analyst and commentator. How are you?
Good.
Good day in politics, right?
Good, yeah.
Even though we don't like when people are arguing and fighting,
yes,
but politically we are good.
Let's say it's exciting.
It was an exciting day.
Yes, yes.
So talk to me about what has just happened today. President Uhuru Kenyatta coming out saying, look, I wanted to leave this politics. I wanted to stay away from it. I wanted to go. But now you've forced me to come back. What first do you make about Uhuru's appearance saying that it's going to take a while before he leaves?
It's not a good image for the country that a retired president should find himself in politics, active politics, especially in conflict with the government in power. It's not good. It's not a good thing.
Yeah.
For a fragile democracy like ours, looking where we have come from as Africa. We had started a good thing, a culture or a tradition where you finish, go home in peace. Somebody finishes, they go home in peace. Moi, Kibaki. So Uhuru's turn to go home. But I think I also don't want to blame him a lot. It is these other people who have been poking their fingers in his... But I don't understand why. I've said this many times. Why can't they let Uhuru just go home? Because it's not a good image. It's not good for the country.
Why do you think so? Why do you think they don't want him to go home?
They will. I have tried to find out. I don't know. We have said maybe Kenya Kwanza has a problem fulfilling his promises, and they think they need to look for an excuse, for a scapegoat, and Uhuru becomes that easy target. They used him to win. Maybe they want to use him to survive this turbulence where they are not delivering. Still, whichever way you look at it, is not good for the country. It's not good for the country for a retired president to be in the mark of politics. It's not good for the country. Whichever way you look at it, from whichever side, for whatever reason, it's not just right.
Now that they have smoked him out, what should we expect?
I would want to ask the president to save this country embarrassment. Let them leave Uhuru Kenyatta alone. Let them leave his party alone. Because what are we telling the world? How can a retired president get engaged in this kind of thing?
Is there anything in that party that we don't know? Because
that's what I'm saying. There are so many things we seem not to know.
President Uhuru was like, if this party is dead, why are they coming for it?
Yeah.
And I want to know, are we flogging a dead horse? Is that what we're doing?
No, it's not that. You know, there are many reasons. One, it could be cheap revenge. It's possible. Human beings can be that useless.
Yes, revenge.
Cheap revenge. The other one could be fighting for the soul of Mount Kenya. You want to make sure Uhuru has no say in Mount Kenya because resurgence is possible. He can come back. So you want to finish him. And one way of doing that is to finish Jubilee Party. So that Mount Kenya joins the rest of Kenyans in Ruto's scheme of moving people into one strong Kenya Kwanza coalition or UDA party. So with Uhuru still walking around with Jubilee, it doesn't quite fit in that kind of scheme.
But do you think Jubilee is still as powerful as it was, or how would you rate it? When
you know, it's not a question of Jubilee.
In Mount Kenya.
It is not a question of Jubilee. It's a question of anything that gives people a forum, a facility. I'm looking for the word that makes them come together to fight a cause. You see now, there is Kimani, what do you call it? Kiunjuri somebody. Mwangi Kiunjuri. There's Mwangi Wairia. There's Maina Njenga. That is the scare of UDA and Kenya Kwanza. So they are feeling, if you leave Jubilee alive, it could be the party, the forum. I was looking for the word, the forum. It could be the forum that brings these people together.
But all these people are in different parties.
No, they can
coalition, but different
They
parties.
can use that because it would have one strong person, a star, a north star, a signing star. A figure around which people can, you see, and that figure is Uhuru Kenyatta. So you hit his legs. Kata miguu ya Kenyatta, Uhuru Kenyatta kwa kumaliza Jubilee. But still, it's not worth
From the Uhuru you saw today.
It must be something bigger than that.
From
perhaps.
the Uhuru you saw today, is this Uhuru that has been chopped off his legs? Is it a different Uhuru from the Uhuru we saw, or is he as strong, as powerful as he was back before?
I don't care whether Uhuru is strong or weak or whether Ruto is doing the right thing.
Yeah.
All I care about is the image of the country. We are cutting a bad image for ourselves as people, as a country. And look here, Moi Kenyatta died in office. Moi finished and went. Kibaki finished and went. Kibaki refused to go in 2007. But at least in 2012 he finished and went. Uhuru has finished and gone. Let's not take this for granted. This mess confusion you are creating can be the excuse an individual will use not to leave power. And you'll be where other African and other countries have been. Failed states. Where the time to leave comes and somebody doesn't leave. Because you are creating the mess. This confusion can be used in future by an individual in the State House not to leave. People can create all this confusion, and you find Kenya is not what you thought it was. It's not going the way we wanted it to go. Let's not take for granted this idea of 2 terms somebody goes.
Maybe you could.
Raila has alluded to it today. It's not something I want us to really play around with.
Maybe you can just comment on this, because people are telling Uhuru to come back in the scene. Even during the meeting, everyone was like, "Speak up, continue fighting for us." What does this mean about the image of the president that was there before and the one that is right now?
It's not about Uhuru. It's about this country. What will people think about us? Number one, bad image. We are creating a bad image for ourselves.
Is it for ourselves or for the?
We are swimming in shame.
Is it for ourselves or for the current government? Because
for ourselves, all of us, including the current government. People think we are useless people as a country. But more importantly, and I want to repeat this, this sort of mess can be a precursor to things to come. Another 20 years, 15 years, 10 years, 5 years, you may have created the right environment for an individual to mess our arrangement that has served us well since 2002 when Moi left. Let's not take for granted that somebody leaves and they go home. Don't take it for granted. Democracy requires continuous vigil. Even big democracies, occasionally democracy falls under threat. And the people of the country are called upon to come and defend democracy and fight for it and say no to a person who wants to enjoy the democracy they have enjoyed for a number of years, 100 years, 200 years, whatever. Equally. That's why we have had interruptions in Europe over years, including the Roman Empire. You interrupt, you remove, you have a republic. Some individual comes and messes everything, and you go back to
square one, go back to zero.
Yeah, to the king or to the emperor. So I don't just like what I'm seeing. I just don't like it. The idea of a retired president going directly into politics, the way Uhuru is doing, I don't like it. I simply don't like it.
As Raila says,
it can be a precursor to bad things to come. Let's not take it for granted. I want retired presidents to go home and the rest. But I've also asked those who are disturbing a retired president to put a stop to that. I urge the President of the Republic of Kenya, William Samoei Ruto, to ask his people to leave Jubilee alone. And never to mention Uhuru in their speeches. And let's see. I will urge Uhuru Kenyatta, once he has repossessed and taken full charge of Jubilee and restored it to the rightful owners, I will urge him to retire from politics. I will urge Uhuru Kenyatta to leave leadership of Jubilee. But for that to happen, the government must leave Uhuru alone, leave Jubilee alone, so that as a country, we don't bear the shame of what I'm now seeing today, of a retired president engaging in such a cheapness.
I want to know, is there a threat?
Because he's seated here, he has invited a friend And the friend is saying in 14 days this country can go back to the streets. And Uhuru is seated there. I don't want to hear that.
Is there a threat to multipartyism in this country? Is that what we're looking at with the Kenya Kwanza administration?
Yes. This confusion may be deliberate. I've heard Raila said it started like this, 1964, 69, 82.
Yeah.
You can be creating this confusion, and before you know what's going, we just have one party. It's possible. We must guard against that. It's not good for ourselves. We have been there before. We have paid for it. People have paid, including their lives. We don't want to go back there, no.
Now that the likes of Kanini, Kega, Sabina, Chege, all of them have been removed as members of this party, for Kalonzo Musyoka says, before we continue with these negotiations, let us have by-elections where they come from. Even in Iyala, let Kanini, Kega be removed. Is this what we ought to see?
Yes.
And how should it be implemented by President Ruto?
That's what I'm saying. For President Ruto, let him see the danger in bringing Uhuru back into the game. It's a really danger. And I want to repeat this because I've said it before. And I know there are small people with small minds and small brains. I am sorry to use those words. My son has always warned me.
Especially when it comes to our leaders.
No, and I have to tell them, there are small people who think these mandamanos are things they can manage. It's not good for any country. No. We can risk everything we have. There are people who think Uhuru is nothing. But I want to advise them. If Uhuru worked with Raila into mass action, this town will not be governable. This country will be gone.
The presence of Uhuru and Raila together.
Yes, this country will be gone. Let's not go that direction. So I want to advise the president. Let them stop this game on Jubilee. And if he loves this country the way I do, let him allow democracy to flourish. Let Jubilee do its own game. Let him tell these people to keep off Jubilee. And for those who have left Jubilee, let there be by-elections.
Simple as that. For some that would
There are
argue,
no two games about it. Let those who have left Jubilee and the ODM face by-elections. It is the same thing to do. Because we want to reduce the anger in this country. The anger levels are very high. We want to reduce them until we have manageable levels. You can imagine the anger people have against people like Sabina Chege and Kanini Kega. And for the sake of my love for this country, I want to tell the president, we want to support him because his success is the success of this country. But he must also know this Sabina Chege, Kanini Kega, Jubilee nonsense is eating into his support in the mountain. People will not tell him, but I have to tell him. It is eating into the president's support. People are feeling Uhuru is under unnecessary attack and is winning sympathizers. Let the president also know that the truth is a lot of the votes he got came from people who sympathize with his fate. People thought Uhuru was being too much on his deputy. And that earned him a lot of sympathy. And the sympathy brought a lot of support. You know, he should know, even attacking Uhuru is making Uhuru gain unnecessary support out of sympathy.
For people that would argue if you are now in power, you can take it all, if that is what Ruto is thinking, would they be right to think about that? You took over power, you're going to vie again maybe in 2027, and you just want to take it all. It doesn't matter the consequences of that. Is this a good argument for
If the consequences were that Ruto could stand the chance of losing an election or winning, that is normal in politics. But the consequences now is whether we'll have a country or not. Unfortunately. It's not something you want to imagine. We don't want to contemplate a situation where we are gambling with whether or not we'll have a country tomorrow. Call me a coward, but count me out. I'm not going for that gamble. If you gamble with an election, whether you can win or not, you can take people head on. And that can make you win or lose an election. That is understandable. That is politics. But in this case, this gamble is about whether we shall have a country or not. Is it a gamble I want to have myself? Certainly no, not me.
Now you hear President.
And I advise them, don't gamble. I have thought this thing was a joke. This Jubilee thing. You know, there are people who think Uhuru played Raila. You know that?
Yeah.
They keep saying. And then all these are games by Ruto and Uhuru. But when you see the way it's moving, it looks like Uhuru is annoyed.
That's why he was saying.
It looks like they are not games.
We are peaceful people, but we are not cowards. That's what he's saying.
You see, that's what I'm hearing and looking at his face. And saying it could be serious that Uhuru is actually annoyed. And I've always said, we are all human beings. Ukikata kidogo damu inatoka. Because we are human beings. Supposing Uhuru gets annoyed and said, we in Azimio want to take on government. Let nobody imagine that's a small matter. Let them. I'm advising them for nothing. For free. I don't want to be paid. Uhuru and Raila in this town.
Yeah.
My friend.
Finally, Uhuru and Raila were together in 2022.
Yes.
Ruto became president.
Yes.
If you say that, does this mean that we will see a different Uhuru from the one that was there in 2022?
But you see, the environment has changed. This is a war situation. That was not war. That was just an election. War was just a metaphor. But now it's no longer a metaphor. This will be real war.
Yeah.
This is not a joke.
It will not be Uhuru Raila of 2022.
No.
Yeah.
It's not a matter you want to play with or gamble with, because you are gambling with the lives of Kenyans. Me, I want Uhuru to be left alone. Alone. And Jubilee to be left alone. In fact, I want the president to let democracy work by these people going for by-elections. Kanini Kega living in Yala. And after that, Jubilee has its own honors, Uhuru Kenyatta and the rest. After that, I want to see Uhuru also live active politics.
But this
For
one,
sanity.
this one is totally dependent on the move President Ruto is going to make.
They must leave Jubilee alone, number one. They must not allow this political prostitution, number two. Am I right?
Yeah.
And number three, that follows number one and two, the other side must play the gentleman. And there's no other way of playing the gentleman other than for Uhuru Kenyatta to do the right thing.
And retire.
He can support Raila.
Yeah.
But the kind of thing I've seen today, a retired president addressing a public rally, a public gathering, hitting punches at the government. That is not what I want to hear. No, you can call me anything. Sema Manyora amenunuliwa, Sema Manyora is a coward. You can say I don't know anything. I am willing to take all that. But I will not be happy with a situation in which a retired president is addressing a public rally in a charged atmosphere to charge the Kenyans who are cheering him as he faces the government. I don't want, this country is not good for that. It's dangerous for this. It can be good for other countries, but not for this country. For this country, we want Moi, quiet home, Kibaki home, Uhuru home, Ruto home. After Ruto, whoever takes, again goes home after 5 years or 10 years. We want that tradition. What I'm saying is this. I want us to make this a tradition in this country, where retired presidents go and stay in peace.
All right.
They leave the current government alone, and the people in government leave them alone. Unless they were engaged in criminal activities of the magnitude they need to be prosecuted. But let's leave them alone.
All right.
So Uhuru should be left
alone. Okay.
And then Uhuru leaves the government, and then we have a good country.
Yeah. But you're saying
anything else?
You're saying it's a shame.
It's a big shame, and there is the danger that Uhuru could join hands with Raila. There's also the danger that this chaos could breed something sinister, where the democracy we have taken for granted disappears under the ground, under the earth. And we are back fighting for multipartyism.
Yeah.
Let's not go in that direction.
Let's not go in that direction indeed. Thanks for tuning in to a political conversation. Jubilee, NDC, Raila, Uhuru together once again addressing, as Prof says, a charged country. Let's have, we need some peace around and some sanity. Till we do talk again, have yourself a lovely rest of your day.